Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, Blakemore, let's go.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
Wild back in action tonight. They take on the Sharks. You'll hear pregame 6:45, puck drop at 7. That's why we're out at 6:15 tonight. Lines, no Wallstedt in net. They're going back to Gustafsson tonight.
Are we afraid he might be making too much headway?
Is there a goalie controversy?
We obviously don't want one.
It's the Max Brosmer effect.
We'll ask Luigi about that at 5:30. Are you? Was he as good as advertised last game?
He was lights out.
He was great.
He's really good.
That's what we've been waiting for. That's what we envisioned when we first drafted him. Correct?
Yeah.
That's the whole bit.
Yeah. He was drafted as a number 1 guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully it turns into that. Couple notes on the defense. No Middleton. Buyam and Faber will be on a D pair for, I believe, the first time. Yurov's still in the lineup. So some interesting changes. But yeah, that's the big talker, is that Gus Bus is in net against the Sharks.
Have we righted the ship enough for your satisfaction yet? What's it going to take for you to come around? That's what Fallness wants to know.
I've been very positive about the team.
Oh.
Well, sometimes.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, but they've won, 4 out of their last 5 or something like that. They're turning it around slowly but surely, and the Zuccarello edition has been welcome. The Yurov edition has been welcome, and then Wallstedt's playing well as well. So,
if the season ended today, would we be outside the playoffs? I think we would,
I believe so, yes.
Fortunately, the season doesn't start today.
Well, that's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 6th in the Central Division. There's only 8 teams in the Central.
By the way, you're getting ripped
naturally
for not leading the top 5 at 5 with Monday Night Football. They think it's no accident that you would have led this segment with it if your team had come out on top, but that you're going to try to ignore it and pretend it didn't happen because of the final score.
Not only am I not leading with it, I don't even have it in there.
You don't even have it in there.
No, of course
not. Isn't that funny?
No, it's just funny how that works.
Yeah. Are you calling for the head coach's head like everybody else is? You think that's a little strident or a little bit melodramatic or not?
When it's 4th and 1 and the D line of the Eagles is calling out what the play is going to be.
That. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
I mean,
that's not a good sign.
You still have to look at the whole body of work, but it's a really bad look. And if they don't turn it around, like if they start losing, I don't know, if they only win 3 or 4 games the rest of the way.
Oh, you're going to win more than that. I don't think. You got too good a defense.
Well, but I score points.
Well, that's true. I mentioned at the top of the show, it's hilarious. Here, the battle cry is that the head coach needs to run the ball more. This morning, Dan Orlovsky on the Packers said the biggest problem is your head coach always wants to run the ball on 2nd and 10. So I proposed a trade. Maybe if the two coaches swapped, we would then have a coach who respects the run, because we want to run a little bit more to help protect McCarthy, because we ran so well certainly last week and the week before, and that we know what KOC wants to do. He wants to fling it, and Orlovsky basically says Jordan Love needs to be unleashed. So do you agree? Do you agree with that?
I 100% agree.
But isn't there a fear of, then he's just going to get too reckless and then he's going to start throwing the ball around too much?
I mean, I don't think that is his... When he's flustered like he was, it's only happened like 1 or 2 times in his career where he just has the happy feet all of a sudden. Most of the time, it's calm, cool, collected. Last night, he was missing guys because he'd give up on it because the whole line was just getting plowed all night. So, I still like Jordan Love, and I'm questioning LaFleur if he doesn't turn it around. But the good news is coaches have the last word.
They usually do. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I wasn't even going to bring that up, but there we go.
It's out there now. Can't take it back.
Yeah, no. Wolves, they get the Kings at home in the NBA Cup group stage, your favorite thing. That's Friday. They're coming off another win against the Jazz. Not quite as dominant as the previous one, which that game was over by the first quarter, maybe. That one was done. Still, Anthony Edwards led the way, 35 points in 38 minutes. That's pretty good.
Edwards is playing his after that first game where he was very shaky and had, I think, like a minus 50. He's looked very good, very much in control. I like, we were talking to Mitch. Mitch said, I'm not sure you could be a championship team if Julius Randle's your second best player. He might be right. I do think Randall's playing really well. I think he's gotten off to a very good start. Their issue, their offense is pretty damn good right now. The issue is the defense is still nowhere near what it was supposed to be. And again, we've taken, to our credit, full advantage of a very soft schedule lately, right? They've dominated in that sense. You can never complain about that because the complaint with this team before was they played down to the level of their competition. But I think we're going to learn a lot more once we start playing better teams.
So it's kind of a 2-for-1 talker here. The Vikings and the Packers that lose the battle for Asante Samuel Jr. He joins the Steelers on the practice squad. So, not too long ago, the Vikings signed cornerback Shamar Bartholomew. Bartholomew?
Okay.
Bartholomew.
I don't know much about him.
Yeah, undrafted signing by the Jets in 2024. Okay. He made 5 appearances for the Panthers last year, recorded 3 tackles, defended 2 passes, playing 17 snaps. So he is a quarterback that lives and breathes these airs and can apparently play football.
By the way, the Giants dismissed Dable, right? Brian Dable. And I assume that means, because this is the way it works, there is very reckless speculation about whether Bill Parcells could end up back in New York, even though now all he does is win. Isn't he won like 3 in a row or 3 out of 4 after a very bad start to the season? I'm assuming that's just automatic, that there's going to be speculation. Whether there be any truth to it, I have absolutely no idea. But if that hasn't started yet, it will start very, very soon.
84 years old, Bill Parcells.
Is he literally 84?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Didn't realize. 84? Yeah. Are you sure?
That's what I'm looking at.
Well, that's a big deal. Luigi's 84.
Yeah,
look at him. He's doing fine. Who's to say?
Let's see. The other big talker of the day, GM for the Mavericks. Finally, the fans got their way. He's out. So, Nico, the chance worked. And they're going to look forward to it. But the writing was on the wall, basically, when Luka got traded, that this wasn't going away. It wasn't just, it'll blow over. Yeah. People were pissed until it happened.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing about it is sometimes people are stupid. And to expect that the Mavericks, with their 2 best players out hurt, were going to start the season any better than they did is ludicrous to me. On the other hand, it's hard to take the GM off the hook when one of those players has spent that you traded for when you traded away Luka is as injured as he is. And I think that's ultimately the 8 ball that I don't think this general manager was going to be able to get from behind. I don't think so. There's an inevitability to it, even if I think the timing's goofy, because if your top 2 players are out hurt, at least I think they have one of their big men has been in and out because of injury as well. I don't know what people expected this early in the season. You could make the argument, well, wait at least until you get everybody back, and then you can judge. But maybe from a PR standpoint, it had reached a point of no return. But we're back to, if the owner, in effect, demands that you trade away Luka because he doesn't want to pay him that contract, you're obliged to do it. I don't think there's anybody out there who feels like you maximized what you could have done if you had to make the move that nobody thinks you should have made, which was to trade Luka away.
There you have it. There's your top 5.
Bonus bucks?
Yes, the Fan and 2 Men at a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win those bonus bucks in the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com, the keyword money. Money.
I think the problem is I said Parcells, and I meant Bill Belichick.
I was going to say Parcells is 84.
Parcells is 84. Yeah, he's done. Bill Belichick was the guy. Now, there probably is some Parcells speculation because he's beloved in New York.
Belichick 73.
But Belly at 73.
Yeah.
That I was thinking Belly when you said 84, but unfortunately I confused you because I often say Parcells when I think Belichick. I don't exactly know
John Gruden's available.
Why. Yeah, that's for damn sure. All right, we got a quickie segment to get in, some text to look at, and then we will prepare for Luigi at 5:30. If you have questions for him, hit the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line now, 64686.
Are you headed to this Sunday's divisional tilt? Well, you can come find our street team on the plaza outside U.S. Bank Stadium. Ask how you can enter for your shot at Papa Murphy's game day meal deals for a year. And check out KFAN.com, keyword calendar for all the details.
As I mentioned, Luigi coming up pretty soon. We're out at 6:15 for Minnesota Wild hockey. Quickly.
This is the end, my only
You can argue that this done-as item is more a Memorial Day story than a Veterans Day story, but I think they're all very closely connected, and I find it just pathetic and rather scary. The U.S. government has quietly removed a memorial to black soldiers who died in World War II from the Netherlands American Cemetery in Margraten, South Limburg. The move follows a complaint from the right-wing Heritage Foundation to the American Battle Monuments Commission. Some dispute over whether the exhibit panels were removed or rotated out for display again in the future. Regardless, the Dutch are extremely angry. Let me get to the rest of the thread. The Dutch newspaper reports that 2 memorial panels installed at the NAC were removed sometime earlier this year. They commemorated African-American soldiers who helped liberate Europe from German occupation during World War II. One of the 2 panels described how 1 million African-Americans volunteered for service during World War II, but had to fight against both the enemy and racism, not to mention segregation on their own side, including segregation within the Army itself that confined many to supporting roles. One of those roles was burying the dead, a highly traumatic duty as many of the bodies were severely mutilated. Cemetery was constructed by the 960th Quartermaster Service Company, an all-black unit of 260 men under the command of a white officer, as was usual. Site of the cemetery established by Captain Joseph Showman, the head of the 611th Graves Registration Company, while the task of digging it and burying the bodies was given to the 960th QMSC during September-November of 1944. First Sergeant Jefferson Wiggins oversaw the work and later recalled that when the men arrived, they were confronted with the sight of thousands of dead bodies lying on a tarp. There were no coffins, so the bodies had to be tied up in mattress covers where the men dug graves. The grave digging so traumatizing that no one talked during the day except for the few who would pray over the graves and some who quietly cried. So there we were, a group of black Americans confronted with all these dead white Americans when they were alive. We couldn't sit in the same room. And as somebody pointed out, apparently it was woke or considered woke to honor dead black servicemen of World War II who fought both the Germans and the fact that they were segregated by their own service. We've talked about woke on this show for many, many years. We have mocked it. We've done as a society it from time to time. This is history. This has nothing to do with woke. The idea that anybody offered up any sort of resistance to a part of our history is disgusting. And it falls under the classification of we're changing everything. We're going to take away all the woke stuff. This ain't it. This is not an example of that. Because that was then, and that was the reality then. And so to pretend that there is something too DEI about acknowledging what took place during World War II, the sacrifices that were made, and to make a special memorial or discussion of what one racial group did to contribute to ultimate victory in World War II is missing the thread entirely of whatever crusade you might have on the issue of wokeism. Just moronic, stupid, and defeats the purpose of whatever point you think you are attempting to make. Falls under the classification of utterly unnecessary, and it really a disgrace and a lack of respect shown to those individuals who suffered the way they did and were in a position where they were still perfectly willing to serve the country. Serve a country knowing that in many parts of the country, especially the South, when they got back home, they were going to be facing segregation again. So fight all your battles on wokeism, and we've fought them occasionally here. We've mocked a number of examples, especially of things going on college campuses today. This is American history. To pretend to deny it or say, well, we should no longer make an issue of this, it's just flat out wrong. It's a bad example. I'm not surprised. Not at all surprised. I wouldn't all be surprised at all if Pete Hegseth is at least partially, if not totally, behind it. Wouldn't shock me in the least, because he thinks he's on a crusade. He doesn't have the ability to distinguish between stuff that might be worthy of reconsideration and this. It's an affront. It's every American, whether you consider yourself woke or not, should be embarrassed and ashamed by the whole thing. Let's take a pause. We'll come back. Let's talk to Luigi. Lou Nanne, hockey conversation about your red-hot Minnesota Wild next.
Time now for the Vikings Report on the Fan, presented by Miller Lite. Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen joins Dan Barreiro next.
Well, she sneaks around the world from Virginia to Carolina. She's a sticky finger filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is Lou Nanne?
We are about to find out. Brought to you by, as always, our good friends at Kemp's. Luigi, is this Hawaii? Is this Oahu week, or do I have the wrong week?
Yeah, it's Oahu week. I'm at the Royal Hawaiian.
That's historic.
On a beautiful day, looking out at the ocean with a lot of people in the water, and I got to go to the airport back to Florida right after you and I are done here.
Well, we'll get you out no later than 55 because I know you need to make a move, so we'll definitely do that. I will tell you, this is how, I don't know if this would be classified as sick or not. About 2 or 3 times a day, I have via my computer a link that I look at of two cameras, I guess. One of them overlooks the Royal Hawaiian and Waikiki Beach, and I just look at it. I just look at people on the beach. I look at the sun. I look at Diamond Head. And then the other one is from the Wailea section of Maui over the Marriott Hotel. I do this every day. Does that make me sick, do you think?
No, that makes you smart. It makes you very aware of what's going on and how nice it is. And if you have time to go, you got to go.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it for sure. Good weather. Has it been a good visit?
Yeah, it's 4 days, but it's been
quick in.
It's 82 to 84 every day. This time of the year, you might get a slight drizzle in the afternoon every now and then, but it doesn't last long, and it's nothing that you can't walk through without basically getting wet. It's been real good. It's a conference I come to all the time. There's about 8,000 trustees here, so it's very busy, but sensation every time I come here, I say the same thing. It's a long way to go, but it's worth every minute.
And the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, I think that was that's historic, right? That's been there forever. It was built, I believe, in 1927 and might have even been the first. I mean, you see postcards where there ain't nothing else around it. That was the hotel.
It's just a spectacular location. One year I held a luau here. When you walk through the lobby and out towards the ocean, that's where the luau was. The stage was set there, the dancers, and the back, it was a full moon that night.
Yeah.
And they had a party for, there was a lot of people. And at the end of the party, this elderly couple, a lot younger than I am now, but probably in their 70s, but they walked up to me and she says, "Lou, we just want to tell you this is the best day of our lives." I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I believe it. All right, so are we going to have a goalie controversy soon? I guess we've gone back to our starter tonight after a tremendous Wallstedt performance. Did you get to see it, or were you with the time difference and everything, is that too hard?
Oh, no, I'm earlier than that.
That's
so
true,
I got a lot of excerpts of it. But to me, it's not even a controversy. I was just surprised that they hadn't put Wallstedt in earlier during that string that Gus was going. Because if you remember correctly, Wallstedt's first 3 games he was getting points and he was looking good. And if you have a guy going like that, you think that you might have even got him in there a little sooner and balance it off a little more. So he's got to put Gus in tonight, otherwise it's going to be a long time between games for him.
Yeah.
And when they're, when you got the other guy doing that, you can do a little ride here with the other guy as well, and keep the games almost equal till you have to separate for some reason or other. But with the kind of schedule you got going, a lot of travel, a lot of back-to-backs, you might as well get as much out of each of them as you can.
No question about that. If you have questions for Louie, we'll have some time to get a few of those in. The Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, as most of you know by now, is 64686. So, because if we go back to Wallstead from the beginning and when we first got him, I mean, he was projected, right, as a guy who had a chance to be clearly a number one goaltender, right? And he's had some ups and downs. It's not been a straight line up from there. But I think that's a little of what we seem to see. Career high 36 save performance in the 2-0 victory over the Flames. That's what you're looking for, correct?
Yep, and you're right when you said about his ranking. When he was getting drafted that time, he was ranked as the best goaltender in the world, and that was coming into the draft. And, you're 17 turning 18 at that time, and you're going to go through some ups and downs when you're that young. I remember Beaupre. We drafted Beaupre at 18. He had a great first year. He slumped a little the second year. After that, he was terrific again, and for a long time. He played a long time. And these goaltenders are no different than other players. There's going to be times when they look very strong, and there's going to be some soft spots, but you can ride right through them, and that goes for the other kids on the Wild roster right now. That's why I'm glad they put Europe back in. I was talking about that before when he settled 4 games in a row. I don't think you got to do that. You can't keep a young kid like that with that kind of talent out of the lineup that much. The only thing you could do is hurt him. You can't help him saying, "Oh, he's learning by watching the game." No, you learn by being on the ice. You could pick up things watching the game, but he's got to be playing. He can't be sitting. If you don't want him there, you put him in the minors. But he hadn't shown any reason why he should be down in the minors.
We, as I said, we'll take some questions from the audience, hockey, and pretty much any level at 64686 for sure. This is coming up. I think I know your answer to this question, but I'll still ask it because there's interest out there and there's people who care, and that's part of the reason that they I guess address this stuff. But this comes in from 952 guy regarding Golden Gopher men's hockey, and he wants to know whether the head coach is in any way, shape, or form on the hot seat this year.
No, you've been to the Frozen Four, you've been to the semifinals, you've been essentially a strong playoff team for a number of years. You're not going to, all of a sudden, because you have a down year, a year when you're retooling, be in the hot seat. So the only way he wouldn't be coaching next year is if he wanted to retire for some reason.
Are you encouraged? We're obviously getting healthier. That's part of the story, too. And we all know who Kaprizov likes to play with. So, how much does that, I guess, encourage you that the Wild could be here starting a stretch where maybe they can get well, not just in terms of their health, but in terms of the standings?
Well, that's a perfect point, because you got him back in the lineup and you got real good, as you know, play between those two all the time. It allows you to just move players around on the other 3 lines, and now I think they've got a real good 4-line matchup right now that they can go against any team, and the defense is playing better, and the goaltending, we're getting goaltending from Wallstead too, so you are certainly in a position where you could make a run. They got a tough game tonight against the Sharks. The Sharks are playing exceedingly well. And if you look, I think I want to say there's at least 13 teams that are bunched up in a playoff, even though it's early, but you still have to look that way because you have to make sure you don't fall right out of it. But there's 13 teams in a position for 8 positions. And when you look at it, they still have to climb up and be a little stronger position. But at least they got the 500 now, and now you could start moving. But you have to be much happier about the balance in that lineup that you're seeing tonight than you had seen earlier in the year, because you could essentially see holes in the forward lines and on defense, and now they seem to be getting resolved with the fact that they're getting healthy.
Why? What do you think it is? Why do Zuccarello and Kaprizov seem to have such good chemistry? What's that about?
Their mind, the way they think the game, the way they see the game, the anticipation that they have. If you were to say who's got the best feel for hockey in those lineups, it would be those two, because they're so far ahead of the play. They are thinking ahead of the play. The play that you're expecting now, they're another play ahead of you. They're seeing that, and they're seeing the next thing after that. That's why they find themselves and are able to get themselves in open positions and move pucks so quickly, because their anticipation is at a level that very few people get to.
Dry Heat guy checked in much earlier in the show, longtime hockey guy. Can you ask Louie about the skyrocketing prices of hockey equipment, especially sticks and skates? Bauer's newest top-of-the-line stick costs $415. And like all composite sticks, it isn't even guaranteed to last one game. This causes fewer kids to play hockey, is bad for the future of the sport. Both Bauer and CCM were acquired by private equity firms last year, driving the prices up even further. What do you know about all that?
I know that he's right, and it's something that I just can't believe. I look at how often the kids are on the ice, how much they play, and how fast they're growing, and then you're starting thinking this is going to cost this much more, that much more, and he's right about the sticks. I don't know how these kids even use a composite stick, because they will break it that fast. I'm not so certain that, I know they still make wooden sticks, and I'm not so certain that if I had, my sons playing again right now, until they're about 14, maybe 15, I'd be making them use wooden sticks. These things are breaking too fast,
yeah.
And the skates cost a fortune on top of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how people are able to afford that. And that's one of the things that hurts the growth of hockey. And that's why the NHL started an initiative. USA Hockey jumped in to try and give kids equipment for their first year in hockey, maybe first couple by now, and just start them off in the game and see if they like it, and then see if there was a way that they can continue to play.
Well, not that you need any more business or any more money, but I've always envisioned you as the perfect guy to be the spokesperson to start a stick revolution. Some company, you hook up with some company as their big-time public face and endorser to say, no, we're going to get you a good stick, a responsible stick at a better price, and we're going to start a hockey revolution. You'd be perfect for that, wouldn't you?
Well, it's not that I want to start it, but I will tell you, 2 weeks ago when I was back in the Twin Cities, I went to the Scotty Beck has this equipment for kids they sell to all the high schools. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he had in there, and Andrew Hyde was taking me around, was wooden stick. And I said, have you got the Northland, have you got the Sherbrooke? And he was showing me different lines that they have that they can sell. And I said at that time, I said, you got to push these. You got to have these kids use this. They could save so much money right there.
Right.
And frankly, and I know I'm probably wrong, but I grab a hold of a composite stick and I grab a hold of a wooden stick. I still like the wooden stick better. I don't like the composites. The shafts are so narrow, and I had such a big handle on my stick. It was so thick. I think only Kent Douglas was the only one that had one bigger than me. In fact, before the games, Craig Cameron used to pick up my sticks. I got to loosen up, and he'd be doing like weightlifting with my stick. But at least they last.
Yeah, right.
And they don't have to be that big or that heavy, but the wood does last longer than a composite.
With the modern transfer portal, hold on, let me scroll down here. With the modern transfer portal, especially with a school like Minnesota with their advantages, is saying it's a retooling year, I should say, a retooling year, really a legitimate excuse. What do you think?
Well, when you lose 11 guys and you put 11 back in, I think it's a pretty good excuse. I try and go and get 11 of the kind of talented players you lose. In fact, one of the guys, Wood, that they had last night, he got a hat trick for Nashville. He was there last year. Oliver Moore, 2 days ago, got his first goal for the Black Sox. He was here last year. Renzel dresses every game for Chicago in the back end. I mean, I can go on and on. They lost some quality guys, and they were sophomores and juniors, and you don't replace them with freshmen. And for the most part, fortunately, they got LJ Cooney there. He looks like he's going to be a tremendous kid. He's a cousin of Cooley's, and he's been great. But and they got some other guys that are talented. But it takes time. It takes time to make guys play. It's just like guys going to the NHL. It takes time to come in the lineup. You might have dominated the colleges or juniors or even the American League, but that doesn't mean you're going to dominate when you get into the NHL.
Which team for you is the biggest surprise to the good or the bad so far this young, well, not so young anymore, National Hockey League season?
Well, Anaheim Ducks, I'd say. I mean, Anaheim really they look real good, and they got a couple of players that are like you. Everybody talks about Celebrini and Bedard, but Leo Carlson in the middle there, he's scoring right with him, and he's 6'3", probably. He's a big centerman from Sweden. He was actually drafted number 2. Everybody thought he was going to go 3 the year that he came out a couple of years ago. And they got Gauthier that they made in that trade with Philly. He's got 11 goals. They're up there, and Lacombe on defense played with the Gophers a few years ago, and he signed a huge contract. He's been very productive. I think, the surprises like the Sharks, the Canadians are doing exceedingly well. But overall, Anaheim just seemed to, they made quite a jump thus far, and I don't see any reason why they're going to slow down.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you worried about, because there's the aviation industry has kind of been on tilt. Even though we might have finally an end to the shutdown, there's a lot of flights that have been either canceled or delayed or postponed and so forth. So I know you probably have special dispensation getting to the airport, but is everything gone any good for you in that regard? Have you gotten caught up in any of that? Any of the madness?
No, fortunately, I mean, this is a long flight to and from Florida. It was 9.5 hours just from Atlanta to Honolulu. But the one thing about the airlines, they said, and it seems that they're doing this, the long flights, the flights out of country or out of the domestic U.S. are all, they've been on time. There haven't been any slowdowns. It's a connection you have to worry about. But at this point, I've been checking connections from Atlanta to Palm Beach every day, and
everything's good.
Have been going through.
Everything's good. That's outstanding. Where are you going to be next week?
Next week, I'll be
Tuesday.
In Florida.
You'll be back in Florida. Okay.
I'll be back in Florida. Beautiful.
All right, we'll let you go early because I know you got to you want to make sure you get out of there on time. Oh, there's worse places to get stuck for an extra day. I mean,
I know that's the one thing that I was saying. I said, well, you know what? If I get stuck here, big deal. I got stuck here,
yes.
But it's not like some other place that I was thinking about. I'll take a train. I'll take a car, whatever. I'll sit right here.
And ain't nothing wrong with that. Safe travels back to the mainland. Great stuff as always. Thanks again. We'll talk next week.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. That is Lou Nanne out a little bit early today to catch a flight to come back to the continental United States. A couple people are saying, I don't know how to break it to you guys, but the wooden sticks just ain't going to work. Basically saying that the composite sticks are so much lighter that the kids just don't like the wooden sticks, which may well be true. I'm not a great hockey stick mind. I don't know if you are, Blake Moore. That probably makes sense. I don't know what the right answer there is. I hearken back to, and I don't know how successful this campaign was. Do you remember? Well, you probably don't because you're too young. But once upon a time, the Timberwolves had a highly coveted, highly regarded player. It didn't work out here by the name of Stephon Marbury. And years later, Marbury started, because, if you're an athlete with some renown, you got to have a shoe, right? You got to have some kind of sporting good deal. And his was a shoe. And the bit was, we're not gonna try to compete with the Air Jordans. We're gonna make a less expensive shoe that's still damn good and that's damned attractive. We're gonna try to go more for the blue collar approach. And I always thought it was an excellent idea. Now I don't know if it worked. I have no idea. I don't even know if that shoe still exists. But to me, if you got smart people, there's always a way out of that box. And I almost think a market that would be rooting for you to, get stuff done and to give individuals an alternative, because, sports is becoming more and more expensive at the youth level, and probably there is no sport. I don't think there's any sport that's as expensive as hockey, right? We've talked about that over the decades. That's always been the case to a degree, and I feel like that's gotten worse and worse. So my guess is, I don't even know. I think the Steph shoe was called And One? I want to say it was And One was his line, and I think for a while it did okay. I just don't know that I don't even know if it still exists at this point.
Yeah, the Starbury.
Oh, maybe it's Starbury. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe
that's what I'm seeing.
Maybe And One was the company. I'm not sure. Anyway, because we get these every few weeks, especially when Louis is on, people just saying that even by, old standards, that the price that it's so expensive to keep your kid in hockey, more expensive than it has ever been before, and so what else do we have here? Before I tell you what, let's just get a little ahead of it. We'll break because we've only got one segment left for Minnesota. I should say Wild Hockey. That is going to be coming up. So we'll be out at 6:15. We'll get to a couple of texts, maybe a couple of other Vikings-related controversies, maybe one more gambling controversy before we wrap things up at 6:15.
Van.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
It's brought to you by American Pressure.
I don't know if we mentioned this Sunday. Did we talk about the 6 former Division I men's basketball players permanently ineligible after investigations found they tried to fix games? I don't remember if we did. But even if we did, it's worth mention again. 3 former players from New Orleans, 2 from Mississippi Valley State, 1 from Arizona State, banned as a result of the investigations. And I know we didn't talk, and I intended to get to this earlier. 2 Cleveland Guardians pitchers now have been indicted on charges that they took bribes from sports bettors to throw certain types of pitches, including tossing balls in the dirt instead of strikes to ensure successful bets. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz indicted. I think the indictment was unsealed on Sunday in federal court in Brooklyn. That alleges that they took several $1,000s in payoffs to help 2 unnamed gamblers from their native Dominican Republic win at least $460,000 on in-game prep bets, I should say, on the speed and outcome of certain pitches. Ortiz's lawyer said his client was innocent, has never and would never improperly influence the game. I think Clase's has said pretty much their defense team had said they that they had previously documented for prosecutors that the payments and money transfers between him and individuals in the Dominican Republic were for lawful activities. But the details are pretty damning, at least worthy of pursuit for sure. This is one that got my attention. In May, the indictment said Clase agreed to throw a ball at a certain point in a game against the Dodgers, but the batter swung, resulting in a strike, costing the bettors $4,000 in wagers. After the game, which the Guardians won, Clase sent text messages to one of the bettors with images of a man hanging himself with toilet paper and a sad puppy dog face, the indictment said. The indictment also cited specific pitches Clase allegedly rigged, all of them first pitches when he entered to start an inning. I mean, you can even bet, I know bettors know this, but you can bet on the velocity, like the over and under on the velocity of a specific pitch. which frightens me for anybody who feels great entertainment value of doing it, but I guess it's a free country. So these stories are, you feel like they're proliferating. They're really not, in that, the Colossae stuff goes back to the summer, and the college basketball story is like 3 years old. But what we're finding now is resolution in these cases, or determinations being made, and there's still a feeling. I think is it fair to say that your sport is the only one that has not yet been tainted by one of these? Hockey?
You would think it'd be the hardest one to do, probably.
Do prop bets exist in hockey?
I'm sure
they have to, right?
Yeah.
But I don't. So far, I don't remember a major scandal involving National Hockey League players. Fullness, not yet, anyway. So maybe it's the purest.
They're hockey players.
Maybe it's the purest.
We got respect.
Perhaps it's the purest sport. Maybe that's indeed true. Competitive dance has the same commitment as hockey, but is more expensive. It can be. Yes, I have some familiarity with that. And then I got a bunch of texts from, and one was actually not Marbury, that was Garnett. It doesn't matter. You named the shoe, right? The Starbury shoe. That's what matters. The details beyond that are not very important. Do we have any inkling of whether it's still available? Is it the Starbury? Can you still buy the Starbury? I think it was a while ago. I don't know that that's very current, but I'm not exactly sure. Early in the show, a great guest lineup today, I'll mention, for those who missed earlier portions of the program and like to podcast the show. Of course, it's always available to you through the usual means. And we had Kevin Seifert in studio at 3:30. We had a lot on the Vikings quarterback situation with Kevin. And then we eventually got into some other issues as well with him, Mitch Lawrence, to talk about the legacy of Hall of Famer player and coach Lenny Wilkins. And we talked some current stuff, including whether the Wolves should have any interest in Ja Morant, given that he's ultimately, I don't think there's any question he's going to be available. And then Louis joined at 5:30 today with what was mainly a hockey conversation. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'm assuming Kessler is back tomorrow. I'm assuming he's going to give me grief for leaving the show early last week to hang with Spike Lee. I thought he was going to be at the big Prince musical open, but he apparently was too committed to the show bit. And so he'll probably get on me with that and get into a couple of other issues as well. Tomorrow's Glenn Mason Day. I think he's back in town again. So it'll be another great college football week because the Gophers are back. I think the Friday night game represents the Gophers' last chance to make this feel like more than just another kind of middle of the road, not horrible, but okay football season. Oregon's good. I don't think Oregon's great. They did a nice job. As somebody put it, they kind of out-Iowa'd Iowa the other day in very bad conditions at Iowa City. And they got a late field goal to win it. But they're still highly ranked. They're still very much in the mix. And so, again, if the Nebraska victory was cute and it was, thorough. But this is the kind of game, this is like you've had really three chances to get people's attention. The first time was at Ohio State, and that was probably unlikely, but we were never competitive in that game. The second opportunity was at Iowa, and we weren't close to competitive in that one either. And this will be your third shot. And this, unfortunately, all three of those games are on the road, which obviously make it difficult, but that's the kind of game you have to win if you want to make people feel like, well, there's something, there's something a little better about this season than what the meandering we've kind of been up to the last several years.
So an update on Starbury.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing. Starbury, I want to drop new ones next summer.
Oh.
Or the actual quote is, I want to drop it next summer because after 2025 going into 2030, we're going to need a whole new breed of athletes. So Starbury could be making a return, I think, next summer 2026.
Interesting. Well, okay. We'll wait for that.
Can't wait.
That's okay. He will forever in Minnesota sports history be referred to as one of the loves we lost. a guy who came here with a great deal of promise, the guy we were going to team up with Kevin Garnett, and they were going to be our Stockton and Malone. And unfortunately, Marbury got mad that Garnett got money first, and he never got over it. And then ultimately the Wolves were forced to trade him away, and he never really landed anyplace else with any success. He's probably bigger and more popular in China than he is here in the United States of America. But a lot of us were very much excited about the draft day shenanigans that allowed them to land Starbury. It just did not. He ended up not having the maturity that I think some of us thought he had, at least on a basketball court, but away from the court, he couldn't handle the fact that Garnett was going to get there first when it came to the money. They were going to take care of him, but it was going to take a little extra time. Do you care to offer a prediction for tonight's Wild game?
I'd like to see them get in the win column. I think they do. They're a different looking team than they were when they played the Sharks. I think it was October 26th or something. So it hasn't been too long since they've been to Grand Casino Arena, but they're different. They've got Zuccarello back. All the lines are more balanced. So hopefully that effort can continue tonight. I like a win, maybe a 2-goal game.
And it's not Wallstedt in the that's okay.
It's fine.
We go back. But maybe that shutout means we're going to end up seeing a little bit more of them than we originally thought we might in terms of what the breakdown's going to be between the two goaltenders. That's a very pleasant problem to have.
Well, Russo had an interesting tweet about it because he said had to be a tough call, but Hines indicated before Wallstedt's shutout over Calgary that Gus would get the Sharks game. Okay. If Gus didn't start tonight, it'd be at least 9 days between starts. Okay. Which, by the way, Wallsted's been on the bench for way longer than that.
Yeah, that's true.
Wallstedt gave up 6 versus the Sharks a few weeks ago, which I don't think is very relevant because he's red hot right now.
Yeah.
But they're going with Gus, and Gus is a good goaltender.
Well, all right. We'll see how we'll see if it goes. If we can keep the thing going. And you said I think the Wolves play next Friday night. Is that correct?
Yeah, Friday night.
Did you tell me that was another NBA Cup game?
It is. Yeah. It is against the Kings.
I think we're 1-0 so far in Cup standings. If that matters to anybody, and we got those fancy courts. Yeah, it's a big one, and those funky looking courts as well. All right, so we're going straight to hockey pregame.
Vikings country.
Oh, Vikings country. Okay, That's right. That'll then lead us into how long is the Wild pregame going to be?
So that'll be just 15.
What's that about? Are we ever going to go back to 30?
I've always said, why don't we have more Kevin Fallness on this station?
I couldn't agree with you more.
He only gets 15 minutes to spread his wings.
Apparently, what we're going to have to deal with, eh? No, that's okay. That's okay. Well, yeah, and then after games, the only time he goes long after games is like for matinee affairs that make us have to start later. Then suddenly his post game goes on forever like a Wagnerian opera. You notice that?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's better for the listeners. You're right. All right. So Guardsy, I'm assuming back tomorrow. And then I think you're back Thursday, Friday, right?
Yes.
Because he's milking the trip to Oregon.
Correct.
Getting 2 full days out of that. Thanks for watching. Thank you indeed for listening. And we will talk to all of you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock right here on the Fan.
And he hit the beach.
Are you hungry or are you starving?
I want to see the package.
Wear pants and not wear pants. You can do whatever.
Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I'll be around.
Length doesn't necessarily mean quality.